Okay, in this video, I'm going to attempt to definitively answer the question, what is it shall we do when it comes to marketing? What are the different activities? What should we do, or what should you do, and why? And here I have a diagram. I have on the x-axis, I have easy, cheap, or fast. And at the other end, I have difficult, expensive, or slow. And then at the top, we have high leverage or low leverage. Really what we care about is input-output asymmetry. So if you think of how Jeff Bezos approaches investments, one thing he's always looking for is there an asymmetric output potential based on an input? So if I have 1 unit of something go into this system, can the output be asymmetrically larger? So if I had to diagram it, let's say this is the marketing activity, and let's say this is our input. Can it have an asymmetric output? All right, and the opposite version of that is, does it require a lot of input? So that would be an example of high input-output asymmetry. Now this is low input-output. So we have, again, the activity, and we have a lot of input, but it only generates a little bit of output. So this is low input-output asymmetry, and it's an indicator that it's a bad investment. All right, so that's going to determine whether something is high leverage, or something we consider high leverage, or low leverage. If I do something, will it have a high asymmetry, or low leverage, will it not? Okay? And easy, cheap, or fast, difficult, expensive, or slow is really human motivators. So when something is easy, cheap, or fast, your competition is going to be all over it. People love things that are come easy, come cheap, or come fast. But the problem is, because it's easy, cheap, and fast, like anyone can copy that. If you develop a new system of doing something, and it was very easy to do, it's not a competitive advantage. People are just going to copy it in a day or two. Versus the motivators that are difficult, expensive, or slow, like, again, back to Jeff Bezos and Amazon. What is Jeff Bezos' competitive advantage? It's a whole freaking industrial network of shipping, of providers, of suppliers, all this stuff. And that was very difficult, expensive, and slow to create that environment. So now, if you come in and say, hey, you know what? I want to be Amazon. Well, good luck. It's going to be very difficult, very expensive, and it's going to take you a long time to build something to catch up and compete with them. Right? So this is how we create competitive advantages, things that are here, and of course, things that are high leverage versus things, and moving away from things that are low leverage. So I've broken down maybe 80 to 90% of the different marketing activities you could take when it comes to growing a dental practice. And I've tried to categorize it into these 4 quadrants. And they're not in order of, so Google Ads is not necessarily better than or higher leverage than permission assets. I would argue that permission assets is much higher leverage. But just a quadrant, just to put things into quadrants. So here we have easy, cheap, or fast, and things that are high leverage and things that are lower leverage. So this stuff right here, Google Maps, Google Business Profile Optimization, local SEO, responding to reviews, listing, content generation, backlinks, ineffective website. All right, it would be wrong for me to say that. All right, let me break it down like this. So responding to reviews, you have reviews, whether it's Yelp or Google. If you respond to them, you can get a benefit because it signals that this business is more active, and Google prefers those kinds of businesses. They prefer businesses that are engaging with their customers, and it creates a better experience overall. So they give you a little boost when it comes to local SEO. But in terms of acquiring new patients, responding to reviews isn't going to push the needle forward. You're just going to be responding to reviews. You could respond to 5 reviews. You could respond to 200 reviews. At the end of the day, it's not going to impact as much. Like, you could have a lot of input into responding to reviews, but the output isn't going to be that high. Whereas, let's say you put that same effort into doing, let's say, photography and creating very good visuals that connect with people, you're going to have much higher leverage. It's going to be a one-time investment that you do to creating all this stuff. But now you can use this on every medium that you do. You could have it on your website, you can do it on social media, you can do it on your advertisements. So this is an example of high leverage. All right, I want to break that down because one thing to know is that easy, cheap, or fast, all this stuff, whether it's high leverage or low leverage, everyone out there is doing. Everyone's like getting on Google Maps. Everyone is optimizing their Google business profile. Well, almost everyone. Some people are out of the loop, but as soon as they get into the loop, as soon as they understand a little bit about it, they're going to be doing this stuff. And local SEO, responding to reviews, listings, content generation, backlinking, and most people have ineffective websites. So these are all things people are doing. If you do this, you're not going to get a competitive advantage. You're just going to level the playing field. But if you don't do this, you're going to be at a significant disadvantage. Right? If you don't have a Google business, if you don't have any local SEO, if you don't respond to reviews, if you don't have any listings, you're going to be at a significant disadvantage. So what to do? Because this is easy, cheap, or fast, just get this all taken care of. Obviously not an ineffective website, we don't want that. But the idea is that the other stuff we do want. All right, I'm going to make a quick note on traditional SEO right now. So traditional SEO is the old school way we used to do SEO. Local SEO is the new approach. Traditional SEO focuses on global competition. This is ranking for those keywords on Google search. And local SEO is focused on local competition and is focused on ranking in Google Business or Google Maps, Google Places, right? Traditional SEO, how do you get a leverage there? Or how do you win that game? Well, mostly it's going to be through content generation and backlinks. And thanks to AI, content generation is super easy to do. Backlinking is pretty cheap to do. You just buy backlinks. So how do people expect to get an advantage with traditional SEO when the methods of getting it is very easy, cheap, and fast to get, right? This isn't the way forward anymore. It's very low leverage. And also it's relatively easy, cheap, and fast. The only reason I put traditional SEO to more difficult, expensive, or slow is typically because you have to hire someone to do this. Well, you don't have to if you know what you're doing. You can easily outsource it and find like a freelancer to do it very cheaply for you. But people don't know that. So it typically becomes difficult, expensive, or slow. All right, back on track. So this, just make sure you handle it because it's going to be a baseline. You're going to need to at least have this level of stuff. All right, now let's move on to the difficult, expensive, or slow stuff. So obviously, we don't want to do the low leverage stuff. This is stuff, low leverage doesn't mean there's a negative ROI per se. It just means that you could have a ton of input, it's not gonna, you're not gonna be able to affect the output much. And that's why I wrote the word agency here, right? Agency doesn't mean like a marketing agency. Agency means like how much control do you have? How much agency do you have to affect the output? And these are stuff that you generally don't have that. So traditional SEO, again, you could just create a ton of content, a ton of backlinks, and trust me, your ranking isn't gonna move much. Like if you create a ton, it's actually gonna negatively impact you. Google's gonna be like, whoa, this is very suspicious, and it's gonna hurt you in the long run. But again, it's not something you should even care about, so don't worry about it too much. Demographically targeted stuff. So how we used to target was demographically. We used to target by zip code, we used to target by income, age, all this demographic factors. And now we're realizing that, wow, that was a very limited way of going about and targeting. The much better way is psychographic targeting, because psychography is how we make decisions, and decisions is what makes us ultimately become a patient. It's not because I live in a zip code that I'm going to suddenly become a patient. It's that I had a certain approach, a belief to dentistry that aligned with yours, and as a result I became a patient. So things that target demographically, things like mailers, newsletters, billboards, generally are going to be very ineffective and low leverage. So these stuff you can do. Again, it's not a negative ROI. You can do once you have everything else fulfilled, and now you want to really maximize every single angle that you can to get out there in the market, right? So this you can do, but if you're doing this from the start, it really doesn't make sense. All right, you should be focused on the high leverage stuff. So let's talk about high leverage. Again, one factor, one property of high leverage stuff is you have a lot of agency. You can do stuff to make like the output, like you can affect the output. Easy, cheap, and fast stuff typically don't. Like it has to be high leverage and difficult, expensive, or slow. All right, because and the reason is that since you do have agency, there's going to be like it's more worthwhile to do, and so they charge more to do this. Okay, Google Ads, Facebook ads, photography, review generation, having an effective website, not an ineffective one. They typically cost more, it's more expensive. And finally, permission assets. This is probably the best thing you can have. Yeah, and so this is what you want to be focused on. Again, take care of this, right? This is easy, cheap, and fast to do. Just take care of it. This stuff, ignore it. Don't do it unless you have this nailed down and you're looking to expand the final, like maybe 5% of market share this can possibly get you. And this stuff, this is where you should be focusing your attention on. This is how you differentiate. This is stuff people aren't doing because it's difficult, expensive, or slow. And so this is the competitive advantage. Again, back to Jeff Bezos, building his empire. This is the work of doing that when it comes to marketing. So hopefully that helped you understand kind of where you should be putting your focus to when it comes to digital marketing or marketing activities in general. I hope this was helpful. If you're looking for a strategy on how to make all this coherent into an overarching strategy, check out my strategy course. It's completely free, and I think you'll find it very valuable. Thanks.